You know what, I'm gonna leave it on just for a hot second. Nathan's gonna miss this part, but that map behind you here is our district. Nathan, sorry you're not in person, I'm just showing a map. We got wells up on top of Wiggins Hill. You see tanks on the top of Wiggins Hill if you ever pay attention back there. That's our westernmost border. We reach down into Adams County, just south of Hoyt down here. You guys are in this region here. We have another set of wells that's behind Cactus Acres there on Q and 10. We have another set of wells south of Brush that all tie in. The water on the north side of the river is crap quality, so that's why all the assets are on the south side of the river. There's a main line that ties into the Krause wells. It goes clear to Brush. That's our big feeder line. All these wells feed into that line. We got 4 river crossings, 3 major river crossings that get the water to the north side.
What percentage of the water comes from Big T? Rough.
Just under 30%.
Okay.
This is the tie-in to, this is the Big T line right here.
Right.
This little scratch. It drops into the city of Fort Morgan's treatment ponds. They treat the CBT for us, and this feeder line goes in here. It's introduced, and we blend it with this water out of this source. So it comes into the same line south of Cactus Acres where Big T comes in. Big picture of what we're going to be talking about today. I'll go over what our requirements, what we do, some hiccups that I might see in your little project, and then offer advice, and we'll be here to work with you. I'll offer suggestions, get you guys going in the right direction, but we'll get into that here. But I want to just get you a big picture. We're in Washington County there, Adams County there, Will County here. We service all of Morgan County with the exception of Wiggins, Brush, and Fort Morgan. So we do Goodrich, Waldona, Longwood Village, Morgan Heights, Orchard. We service all those.
How much of your water can't come from wells?
That'd be the other 70%. We have no surface water that goes into our system. None of it comes from the South Platte, usually we need irrigation. So 70% well, 30% CBT. That varies depending on drought years and stuff, but just as rough figures. We got another 12 wells up here that's not tied into the system yet. We just bought a few years ago, but that's not pertinent to our discussion today. It's just for future growth.
Right.
I do have a growth progressive board. We're not Boulder County. The board has been pro-growth, and that's why we've advanced and keep buying it. All the board members and myself have kids in town, and we want to continue to keep the youth around. So turn over the board and turn over personalities. We've seen it in some of these smaller towns. The board kind of dictates where you go, but as of now, we're pro-growth. Okay, Nathan, we're gonna go to the screen. Can you see the screen all right, Nathan?
Yes.
Okay. I just did a snapshot of our GIS. This one's a little harder to read than someone because I wanted to show all the lots out there. What we want to learn from this, and these lines are hard to see, but over here on 52 where my arrow is, that's an 8-inch main line that runs south. It goes clear down and, well, it starts at 8 at Road M and then it just keeps sizing down as we approach Hoyts. So that's the biggest line in the area. We also have, this one up here is 2.5 to here, and then it's 3 to these houses on the north side. The reason being we quit using 2.5-inch pipe, and now we won't even install the 3. We're up to all 4-inch pipe. It gets just as expensive to put the 2.5 inches as it is the 4, and we're having problems getting availability on those odd-sized pipes. So you got to dig a 5-foot hole and drop a pipe in the ground, and the pipe's the same cost. So we're strict. We won't do anything under 4 now, which we should have done years ago. On this, excuse me, on the south on Road F, we go clear out to this guy's house, but we also turn and go north on your eastern boundary part of the way. Your wells are down here on this Road F side. Yep. So it would make the most common to come this direction. We'll have to upsize it to service the area. I don't know where your pump stations and tie-ins are down there, but that's probably the most likely consideration. We will most likely, if we do something out here, we'll most likely go ahead and close this loop, finish this loop A water system runs a lot more efficiently if it's looped instead of dead ends. So we would probably take it upon ourselves to go ahead and tie these two corners together. Something happens between here and there. We're feeding water from two directions, give some redundancy, give some efficiency in the system. That would likely happen. Now I'm going to scan out one more step if I can find the right drawing here. I didn't want to stop sharing, but you're okay. I'm going to go to the next view out. Nope, that's not the one I want. Okay. Nathan, can you see that all right? Still on.
No, I don't see anything coming through right at the moment.
Okay, so I wonder if I didn't share. Pop up the old screen. That better?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, again, you guys are down here on F where my cursor is. F and 52. What I want to point out here, clear up at the top of this screen, up on the road M, we have a pump station up there, and that boosts all the water. We did not anticipate that growth when the district was founded. It would go clear to Hoyt. We didn't know those Kiowa Bijou wells were going to start drying up, the domestic wells, and that growth just keeps going and going and going. How our district operates is growth pays its own way. So if your neighbor Pennington's got a tap and I only have to put a half a mile extension, and they already paid for the other half, then I do the half. And so we end up with what we call an upside down Christmas tree out there. Because when someone taps on, all the neighbors that can afford it will tap on, and so it grows both directions. And we have pressure issues down south. We're just about wrapped up. When you get clear down into Ritchie's down at Hoyt, Adams County, with that pump station running for water, we're only about 35 pounds down there. And that's about all we'll allow. So if we start taking more water out of this, we're going to have to do system improvements in order to supply. And I think I counted there's 81 lots. Is that the accurate number? I was trying to count them.
Yeah, it's
just from the county map. But it's
85.
Is it 85?
Yeah.
Some of those have so many gas pipes going through them that.
Yeah, see on this camp right here.
They'll let it be there.
Well, you're real close to the 80.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about right. But anyway, this that'll really help you when you do your study.
It does.
Right up here, what we did, see there's a gas pipeline goes through here.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Right, so we avoided that and we went around, we went over here with the water, so.
Okay, so you didn't.
Yeah,
follow
so
it.
yeah, so that makes sense, and then all the pumping stations down there and stuff like this. This plat will help you.
Yes, we will. We'll share that with the engineer.
Yeah, the engineer.
So I suspect we have to do an engineering study because that's what we do is no harm to the customer. So if you're the last guy at the end of the ditch, I like to refer to because rang, everybody starts taking water in front of you, you're the last guy at the end of the ditch. So we do no harm. So we require an engineering study, and he will study the pressures. He's got a full model. This is part of his model here that shows. This one they took out all the property boundaries, so you can see the pipelines a little better. And then he'll run it through a whole year, through peak demands, lower demands. When I said idiots are watering their lawns is when we use all the water. During the low demands, you're fine. And then he'll come up with a recommendation. A couple of things could happen. I don't know which way. I suspect the M pump station is going to have to be upgraded to service another houses, 80 houses down there. I may need a tank here. We don't have a tank on the south side of the, on this part of the system south of Williams. We don't have any tank. Or it may be a tank at your site.
Right.
That'll capacity. We'll evaluate all the different options and see which one's most economically feasible. So they'll evaluate those three things, and then you'll mention what improvements. I had a goofy one, about 4 years ago when the hemp guys were showing up in town, you probably remember when they were showing up in town, they wanted to do an improvement, buy some taps for hemp growing, greenhouses thing. But when they bought 5 more taps up here, there was a mile of line down here south going to Richie's that was only 3-inch, and it had to be upgraded to 4-inch. And it was 7 miles away from where they're getting the water, but it was the guy at the end of the line that's been on the system forever. So they had to upgrade a mile of line in order to not do any harm to that guy that's been part of the system forever. So every once in a while, one of those goofy things will pop up. Down there, this one's pretty obvious what's gonna happen. I mean, you got an 8-inch line going down there feeding all those houses. You get that many houses, we gotta figure out how to get more water down there, either by storage. Because if we can get rid of those off demand, everybody, you guys are all just routine. You guys get up in the morning and you run your showers and everybody waters everything. In the summertime, you turn the damn sprinklers on at 5 in the morning and everybody runs one. You get home at night and guess what? All the showers come on again, all the dishwashers come on again. And those are the things that then the guy at the end of the line wants to take his shower after work and he doesn't have water. People are just so routine. And it's amazing how we have on our meters now, we can take 1-minute instant readings. So when a leak established or something, they'll call me and say, hey, there's no way I could use that much water. And we can see on the meters if it's typically a leak, but some of them you can see there's one lady called in, there's no way we could use that much water. And we run the meters on there. Well, she was watering her lawn every day. And the sprinklers come on at 5:30 in the morning, they went off at 8:30. And then I said, and I can see someone gets up about 2 in the morning and flushes a toilet at your house. And that was the end of that conversation. Yeah. But when there's a leak, there's a constant running. We can see it there. It never goes to zero, but it was going to zero several times during the day on the drip system. So I can see that as the bottleneck, that up at Rodam, and how we resolve it, we'll find out with the engineering study. I'll go out one more view. I probably can't. I'm not smart enough to do this. I don't want to screw him up.
Well, you're saying most likely have to upsize the pump at a minimum anyway.
Yeah. This is the view. Nathan, you didn't get to see this map, but I've got it on here. This is the view of our whole system, but what I wanted to point out here, most of your water's going to come from this west end where those tanks are on Wiggins Hill. So there's a 16-inch line that comes out of Weld County and then drops down to 14, and then it starts 10 going south, and then at pump station goes to 8 that's feeding you guys. So you guys are a long ways away from the water, thus we have to boost at the M station out there. But that's the water that you'll see most likely year-round. It's just, these wells don't feed back this way. We only run the middle of the system, these middle wells, during the summer, during peak demands. Our best quality water comes off of Wiggins Hill and these smart wells. These middle wells is the CDPHE water blended with some local supplies. We've got our own wells out there. This has got a little more hardness in it, so we blend it with the CDPHE to try and match the other wells. But where you guys are located, we can't feed that water back very effectively because we've got enough demands on it.
So Kent, when you blend that CBT water with the well water, do you have to treat it after that?
The only treatment we're doing in our system is chlorination.
Strictly chlorination on it.
And we just went over to sodium hypochlorite. We used chlorine gas until 2023. We built 3 sodium hypochlorites. And what we do is take salt, make a saline solution out of it, inject it with electricity, and it releases the chlorine out of that sodium hypochlorite. And we capture that chlorine off of that and treat the water with that. It's a lot safer than chlorine gas. Chlorine gas is a tier 2 chemical where salt is not. So we just went over to that. The city of Fort Morgan does treat our CBT. Then we mix with them and then we chlorinate behind them because we've got a certain residual that's state mandated that we have to have. Clear down here, Ritchie's and Hoyt, up north of Washington County, we have to maintain the residual after a little growing Alamosa diet of equal. So that's the big picture of us. Cost-wise, the engineering study is $400 for the first tap and $50 each additional tap after that. So I haven't done math. I think we did it.
We talked about that.
We talked the rough figures. So that's what we're looking to do with the engineering study. Once we got our hot little hands on that, then what's your path forward? You're gonna crap, because you start looking at $60,000 a lot, plus the improvements. It's just overburdening for a district the size of this one. So we'll start talking to DOLA, rural water. We're gonna have to get grants and bonding to do that. That's not as poisonous. You know, we just spent $30 million on those other wells, but we amortized it over, we did a 30-year bond on it, got some grant money with it. So you start spreading it over, and instead of feeling like $59,000 now, it's $25 or $50 a month for the next 30 years. And if you get some grant money, you can reduce that down. I think that is your best avenue, and the money's out there right now. You know, part of this Inflation Reduction Act, there's a lot of money out there for this infrastructure improvement. So that's probably the path. We need to start with the engineering. We need to get our arms around it so we can start looking at costs. And I'll help you with the costs. We'll throw it back at our engineer and say, give us a ballpark figure. The problem that we're running into now, any ballpark figure I gave you 2 years ago is probably 50% low. Our costs on all those materials have accelerated during the COVID. But you got your arms around the number that you're looking at per lot. I would recommend that you maintain your water district. 2 reasons. One, I'll do a master meter. That's what we have with Log Lane, we had with Morgan Hills, we have with Hillrose. They distribute their own water. So you take a wholesale water from us, a base price water from us, and then you can charge a higher rate in order to cover your bond costs and that stuff. So you look in, I don't know what you guys are paying now, but we just do the base rate for Log Lane. We've got history of a Hillrose. So we just do a base rate, and then you guys set your rates internally. We set ours once a year, and then you set it internally. We're covering the debt service, we're not covering the debt service. We need to raise our tap prices, if that's what you choose to do, or there's 2 ways to get more revenue. You charge more to the new guys, raise your tap prices, or you charge more in your base rate or your water rates on a monthly basis, and then everybody's paying. Our philosophy, we tend to change our rates 3 to 5% a year for our base rates. Just keep up with inflation, because our operating costs are going up 3 to 5, except the last 2 years. But we try to go 3 to 5% a year, so that's what you can anticipate on an annual. And then you just got to pass it on. If you have your own district, you pass it on. Morgan Heights had a water district, and we ended up acquiring the whole Morgan Heights water district. But we have their special district within our district, because they had about $400,000 worth of debt that they put in their infrastructure. So they're a special taxing district with our district, because those guys that are living up there are still paying off that debt. They pay another $23 a month debt service.
We're pretty similar to that situation.
If I pay it off, I can't have that special taxing district because I don't have any debt. We have the money to pay off the $400,000, but we'd be just handing it to them because I have a debt specific to that one area, so they're paying the higher rate. As soon as I pay it off, then my special taxing ability goes away, so I can't charge it. Other thing is you have more control of what your water system's doing, what people are doing, using. If you've got issues with your system and you go to every other day watering, or I know I'm talking a lot, but we've got several of these. The other thing that we saw Hillrose do, Hillrose is just using indoor use only. They kept their water system for their lawns out there. So they've got a dual system. To run a separate meter to the house, you're probably looking at a couple $1,000s a household. I just did mine. I didn't grab the bill because I just had a new service line run to my house just 2 weeks ago. So there's some advantage to that. What we did at Hillrose, instead of buying the full tap, and full tap right now, so everybody write this part down. A full tap is 7/10 of an acre foot, and it's $59,000. So I'm gonna assume the 80.
$2.4.
Well, I want to do one more piece of math, so
Okay.
4.7.
Oh, okay, I was thinking just the 40, all right.
I'm doing all 80.
40 that are currently improved or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all 80 can be $4.7 million. But in Hillrose, we only made them get a half an acre foot per household. So we reduced that price and we reduced it accordingly. So if you got 80 households, you only need 400 40 tap equivalents. Times half, you only need 40 acre feet. Should have done this before. Yeah, 40 acre feet divided by 0.7, there we go. So you can get by with 57 if you do indoor use only. Instead of buying 80 tap equivalents, you can buy 57 and just do indoor use only. Here's your problem as a water district. No one wants to wash their cars with that other water. So they're gonna tie another spigot that goes outside with the good clean water to wash their cars. And everybody will figure it out in a heartbeat. Or they tie the two systems together. We've had issues with that.
Yeah, that's not what you're wanting.
Does some of that information come out in this study that we're having to do? Does that come later?
Well, as far as
There was some of this detail that you're talking
no,
about.
we'll talk later once we
That's
see. You know, when we start getting involved with DOLA and rural water and the board, you know, that's going to be your water board's
Yeah.
decision on which way to approach it. You're going to get recommendations from DOLA and rural water on the best way to approach it. I think your DOLA grants will look a lot more attractive if you're doing indoor use only. It just fills a fluffy spot. in there.
Yeah, we've already been talking with DOLA for a while
And
about
I've
this.
talked to them a couple of times. I was working with DOLA just trying to get the money to do the study. I said, we need the study done so everybody can start. And so I was working with DOLA, and I don't know if you guys have been working with them.
Yeah, Greg Edel, we've talked a couple times.
Okay. Yeah, Greg's called me a couple of times and said, this is what we got going. I gave him this speech and said, we need to start the study so we can get our arms around what this is going to cost everybody. I know you guys still have some of the vacant lots. You know, I would probably recommend these tap fees are not going to go down. I just promise you, water's not going to get cheaper. Once we get the engineering study in, the tap fees are locked in for 6 months, and the board will extend it another 6 months. So you're looking at a year of locking it in. We will assess tap fees in February, and we'll publish them. So our new tap fees will go into effect in April. And history tells me that they go up about 3 to 5% as well. But you're locked in the date of your engineering. You're locked into those for 6 months, and the board will extend you another 6 months. I shouldn't say they will. I've never had them deny an extension. It still has to be board approved. I've never had them extend it more than 6 months. So generally, you're looking at a year. Start looking at it. At that point in time, we're gonna have to start putting some money in.
So Kent, just for clarification, this engineering study and analysis is going to be for indoor use only on this project? It'll
study it all.
It'll study it all.
We'll study.
Because when I first talked to you about it,
We'll stay. I'm just giving.
because I think I corresponded to the water district and Jesse and Sam that
I'm just recommending that you go that way. Cost and fluffiness. It's probably going to be more effective if you start cutting that down. You know.
so we're still talking about $4,500 to do this study.
I didn't do
Because we're going to write a check today. I mean,
Okay.
we, well, whatever that is.
We'll do that before the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then another 50.
Yeah.
I'll have Katie start.
So I guess that's good to hear that it's going to take.
Understand what all the options are now.
How many taps do you want to study for? Do you want to do all the lots? Do you want to? Well, we probably ought to look at the infrastructure so we can service everything.
Exactly, just in case
Because you
it
guys are the one
exploded
that's got
and
the
you
rest
did
of the
all
lots.
these lots.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, you want your study on all of them, you're only
And
gonna,
I tell you what, if you do 80 and it's 82, 2 lots isn't going to make that tank any bigger on road M or that road. 2 lots is enough. So if we do a nice even 80, you'll feel comfortable. You know maybe 2, maybe not. Maybe someone buys a double lot.
And that's actually, there are
We've seen
3
a few.
people that own double lots, so.
Yeah, so you'll see that. You don't know where it's gonna evolve, but 80 is a nice round number, so I'll have her start preparing engineering study for 80 if you guys are gonna do that today. That's our first step. Couple weeks is what it takes to get it back. I suspect this one's gonna be a little longer than that, because it'll probably land on my desk 2 or 3 times and I'll throw it back to them and say, no, let's look at this, let's look at this, as I look at the different avenues. And if you haven't noticed, it's Christmas. You got your wrapping in?
Yeah.
Okay. My wife finished mine this morning at 5. Because the cleaning ladies were coming, she wanted the wrapping mess picked up, because she was doing it on the hardwood floors. She wanted them to polish those hardwood floors. So the holidays, so we gotta get the wrapping mix.
Should she have you up at 4:30?
I was at 10 after 5, I was gonna get on the treadmill, and she batted her little eyes at me. And she said, could you help carry some of this stuff? So that was my workout this morning, running up and down the stairs. I'm gonna start Kay on that, and then I'll go into questions that you guys might have.
Walking dictionary.
Ken?
He's a walking dictionary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not his first rodeo.
No.
How long has the Morgan County,
Quality water?
quality water been in here?
76.
In the 80s? Yep, 76?
Yeah, they were
Okay.
organized in 76 and most of the pipelines were done by 79.
The original tap fees were $250 or something.
Oh, my.
You know, we come in onto Fort Morgan here, and we keep, what's the population? You know, we come down here from Wyoming, you know. So we asked the iPhone what it is. It says the population in Fort Morgan is 11,000. Is that correct?
More than that.
I
Wow.
thought it was like
It just spread
28,000.
out, huh?
Morgan County as a
Oh,
whole
oh,
is
the entire county,
30,000 or whatever.
The town.
Yeah. Morgan County as a whole is almost 30,000 people. But yeah, Fort Morgan itself is just 11.
But boy,
Rush
there's more
is
than
5
that.
or
Morgan have
5,500.
Facilities, beautiful banks and.
Yeah, for a small town, it's got a lot.
You know, Wiggins used to have a population of 500 and I don't know what it is now. 1,500, 2,000?
Yeah, I think in town 900 and then
What is
the
it,
rest
Sam?
about
1,300? Oh, 13 limits. 13.
Yeah, they did a subdivision on the south edge of Wiggins.
Yeah, I've been there.
And so,
Now another one.
There's another.
Coming up.
yeah,
Separate from Roberts, 81.
There is gonna be another one, Sam?
That's what we were told, we don't know yet.
She's gonna start that and then we'll have you sign it. We're gonna make it pretty generic, because I'm gonna have to modify it, like I said, 5 times. As I talk to you guys, and I talk to you guys.
Not a problem.
You guys are principal owners, but you guys are trying to manage a water district, and I sympathize with that a lot. Questions of me? And Nathan, if you can still hear us, you're welcome to ask questions.
what was the cost per tap, so to speak, if you do the indoor use only?
5 7 so 59, so let's do the 59. Yeah.
Just 7/10 of 59 is what it is?
Well, you get 7/10 of an acre foot for a full tap equivalent, and you're only gonna get 5/10, so it's 59 divided by 7/10 times 5/10. 42.1.
Okay.
Significant. I don't know what your charging rates out there if you have to RO. This water will not require RO. You will have some flushing issues when you first convert over to the water. We will clean up the pipes. We learned that when we put chlorine in our system. We didn't have chlorine for years and years and years. Log Lane would be nobody's there. Log Lane had a manganese problem.
And that's what we, yeah.
And I'm 5th generation Morgan County. Been around as long as Pennington. But I spent my summers out at Log Lane working for Dave Graff, and I dug up so many of those curb keys and cleaned out. I got all the water experience I wanted, and then I turned around and got back in the water industry. But there is some flushing, there is a learning curve when that comes out.
Right.
It just chews through the filters.
Mhm.
You think you're getting it all out with RO, but it's
Yeah, it's impossible.
and all your filter systems and stuff. And 6-8 months is what you stare at, but even it just keeps flaking off.
What's the hardness of the water we might be able to expect in that kind of situation?
The hardness coming out of Krauss is about 3 grains is all, and that's most what you're going to see.
All right. Yeah, right now we've got, I forget what they're set for. They're Kinetico softeners with one of the highest regen ratios. So we're seeing really high TDS.
Good. Yeah. I can provide anybody that data. I mean, we're out there sampling constantly. If you want to see what that data is off the Krauss, I'll show it to you. But we sample on Wednesdays. I mean, today's our pump run day. But we have each guy, I've got 6 guys outside. There's 4 in the office. There's a total of 10 people operating this district. There's 4 in the office. We got the 2 ladies up front. One's us payables, and the other one is billings, receivables. Then Kyle and myself, I got an operations manager, I'm general manager, we got 6 guys in the field, and they each have their own pump runs, and they go to those wells every week. The same guy, because the same guy walking in here hears something different on the motors. That's not how it sounded last week, or this is not what it looked like last week. That's number 1. Number 2, they take ownership of it. And when one of the managers walk around and it's his well house, they say, Pennington, you're not sweeping up very well in there.
There's no excuses, yeah.
Yeah, and so they do take ownership and pride in what they're doing. I got a great crew, just fantastic crew. But they go visit every sample every Wednesday. We got state mandated samples, you guys do too.
Yep.
That we have to pull, but we're pulling at 3 entry points. We got 10 or 12 dead ends that we have to do residuals. You guys got a pretty nice little loop there.
Mhm.
The system side, you don't have the little dead ends. We have to make sure that we have a blow off at the end of Ritchie's, and we have to take a sample out there and make sure we're maintaining chlorine residuals down in Hoyt, up in Washington County.
Yeah, we've got that little mini scenario too. You know, right now the east half of the development is not very populated, so the vast majority of our consumption is from the west. So there's a lot of the west side is not populated. So by the time the water gets over there, just between his house and my house, there's like 1,500 feet of 6-inch pipe, and it'll take me months to get all that water over to my house. So we always check over on that side, my address specifically, to make sure we've got the residual. But it's hard because, sometimes we have to crank it way up and it's, higher kind of objectionable on one end and still barely 0.2 on the other.
We end up flushing about twice a year some of those lines. Particularly the older people won't use as much water. They're not showering twice a day and don't have 5 kids in the house. So we'll get to spots in some of those lines where they'll say, my water's just not right, and we'll just have to go out and flush it, freshen up that line for them. They're really good. They understand what's going on, and it's like, all it takes is a call, and we'll run out there and flush it, but we're not smelling it every morning and tasting it and showering in it, so you gotta let us know, and we'll be glad to go out there and do that. So.
Right. And you're talking of a main quality water tap for the subdivision, so to speak.
What we call it is a master meter.
Master.
A master meter is what we call it. The log lane's the best example. We fill that little golf ball for a log lane. They have their own distribution system. And we just keep, we put it on our SCADA system. We'll put a float in there, and it's on our SCADA. That's on all of our phones. Well, the ladies don't have it. And when the float gets too far, the pump kicks on, fills it back up. And then you guys will have to pump it out of there. You've got pumps in place already. You'll have to figure how to distribute it out of there, control your internal pressures that way. And so that's the best fit because you can control, once you've got debt, then you can charge per household. Guys, we're getting better water. It's going to be, we'll, as a committee or as a group, the board will get together and say, this is what it's going to cost for debt service. Then you're going to have an election of people. Do we want to charge another $45, whatever the number, per household to get the better water supply? And you let them vote for it. And then if they don't vote it in, well, we give it our best run.
Oh, you got it, yeah.
And then that's what you're dealing with. So that's what the board, how many member board?
5.
But all I'll help you walk through that.
So if I understand this right, we're gonna use the existing pipeline.
Your existing pipeline and meters.
What about fire suppression? Because my ISO rating is freaking high because those hydrants don't work.
We do not provide fire flow in our system as well. If you do that, you have to have steel pipes. PVC pipes got really great burst strength, horrible suction strength. So anytime the fire truck, and I see your
We did it in Wiggins. We
Anytime-
sucked dry.
anytime the fire truck pulls up there and starts pulling negative pressure, that PVC wants to collapse.
At the joints.
What we have done, and a couple of insurance, we have water access points. They damn sure look like a fire hydrant, but they have to drop a tank and pump out of that tank. You go into the portable tanks. I was a fireman as well in an EMT. So they drop into a tank. Some of the insurance, Morgan Heights is still getting by with it. They have those little fire hydrants all over. They've had PVC forever, and they're still getting there close to fire. Try it. Other thing, the hydrants are nice for flushing the system. When you get into a situation where your residual isn't there, you can open a dang fire hydrant if you got them in ideal spots.
Yeah.
Flush.
We're a ways off from that. Just so you know, the current infrastructure is in R540 violation with CDPHE. On Tuesday, we will be sending out a hand-distributed bottled water notice until further notice.
I was aware of that.
So
Yep, so we can't even use.
we're looking at enforcement here really, really soon.
Guys, you look at that as a bad thing, but that's the
No,
kind of
here's-
stuff that gets your grants.
Here's what I look at.
Grants.
I live out there. There's a fire hydrant in front of my house. My insurance company thinks it works. It doesn't.
Hasn't since 2014. So we are defrauding the insurance companies at this point. We need to do something soon.
So that's my question. How do we get those hydrants to work? When we have 3 wells on that property.
To take suction pressure or just,
Yes.
are they not operating because they don't have substantial enough pressure? Is that the issue?
If you turn that hydrant wide open, you drop to 5 PSI at the pump house.
No, you just don't have adequate water supply. That's probably going to point to having a tank. Guys, the pressures in those lines down there, our line pressures, 150, 160 pounds. That's how much pressure is on our side. You'll have to reduce that pressure either through your tank or through the PRB.
So my question is, would a tank help?
Yes,
Not on suction, because we can't hook an engine to it.
you still can. No, the tank will help because then you can turn your booster pump back up on the backside of the tank, and then you put PRVs. Thanks, Kate. Yeah. Then do you have PRVs in your meters? Pressure reducing valves in meters?
Nope.
See, all our meters have pressure reducing valves.
The top part's not fully filled out.
Okay.
No, if we crank the 100 PSI pump, that's what they're
You're
doing.
gonna blow everything up.
Gonna blow everybody's
It's already happened.
We reduce it to 60 pounds at the meter because our line pressure is so high. So we have PRVs in the meter. I have had a couple of those fail because they're mechanical, and our insurance company will not cover damages inside the house. They say it is a mechanical failure and you can insure yourself against that. But we control the pressure. So our system pressure is higher. Your unreduced pressure on your fire hydrants.
So here's my question. If we get a tank, like you guys were talking about, and we get the booster pumps, are we gonna run out of water, or are the houses gonna run out of pressure if I open that hydrant to fill my drop tank?
Yes, they're going to reduce pressure.
But they're not gonna go down to 5 and 7,
Doubtful.
like it is now. You can only do it for 5 seconds and you're out of pressure.
No, it'll reduce the pressure. Joshua, what size, PVC pipe do you have?
6.
6.
So do you know the wall strength? Do you know what the burst strength is?
If C900 helps.
C900, so
Yeah.
that's 250, 300 pounds.
Yeah.
You'll probably crank that up. You'll probably do your internal pressure in that 120, 130 pounds. If you got a VFD motor on that pump out there, then you got some flexibility. Then you go do a test.
Well, here's where I'm coming from. I've got 40 houses so far up my you-know-what, because their insurance company's saying, what the hell? And they want answers.
It's going to take the system improvement. Your system is not going to have that capability as it currently exists.
Yeah. So my idea is to separate the systems, irrigation and fire with the current infrastructure, and then a separate 3-inch for potable only. I understand the concern for cross connections, but the current infrastructure, we'll have to get that approved by the health department first.
You're gonna have to reduce that's the other advantage to having the pressure reducing valves in each meter. They're not gonna take that extra pressure. They can only take so much water. You're only allowing, you're leaving the rest of it in the system, which will boost you.
Okay, so what about the water that's on that property? We have 3 wells. What are we gonna do with that water?
That's outdoor use.
How?
You have to have a second system. You have to have a second loop. Second loop. That's what Hillrose ended up doing. Put a whole second loop in there. We'll take that into consideration when we do the grants too. They have dual systems. We've got a couple of housing developments that we're proposing in Morgan County do that. That's the way it's going, guys.
Yeah, it's in our service plan, quality water indoors, well water outdoors for fire protection. That's what we're on the hook with the county to deliver out there.
That's where we're going.
Well, the county doesn't make any requirements, it's the state.
Well, it's what they approved and the court approved in our service plan. It's our charter to provide that service.
Right, but the county itself has no enforcement of anything.
Right. So if we change our service plan, it still requires county approval, though. Major modifications like changing the drinking water source from one system to another.
No, they don't even have to approve that.
CDPHE will nail you on that one.
Yeah.
We're re-drilling our wells. It's state. We've got only one more well to re-drill. These wells are like 40 years old, and so we've been replacing them. We're down to 1. But since the Flint, Michigan thing, every time we re-drill a well, we have to do increased lead and copper testing.
Yeah.
And our frequency goes up to every 6 months for 3 years. Well, we keep re-drilling the stinking wells. We're on our last one. Our last one happened in 2024. So we're still got 3 years of protecting the public over protecting the public. But that's where you're going to nail CDPHE when you change the water source. And then they're going to update your monitoring plan and require.
Yeah, they may be ordering that here pretty soon.
Who's doing your responsible person in charge? Who's doing that now?
Paul Grant.
Is he the Sterling or?
Um,
Was
no,
there a gal as a Sterling for a while? No, that was Log Lanes. I'm getting confused.
Yeah, Paul's out of Aurora. He mostly works along the Front Range, but he's helping us out here. And he's also with Elevant Rock, kind of helping them out too. They're in a sticky situation at the moment.
And I know you've been doing some work with John Rush on the wells and stuff.
Yep.
We'll help you through that. We're not opposed to having more customers. We just spent $30 million on a new water supply so we can supply more people in the county. We've got to cover that debt service, and how do you do it? You add more customers to it. Like I said, water is pro-growth. And so there's no opposition from this side doing it. It's just how much is it going to cost and how do we fund it?
Right. And that's part of why we're here. We've got to, we're spinning our wheels of trying to do this, and you're not to the right person, and you're waiting on this, and it's just a waiting game for everybody involved.
No, this will move forward, and then the board will have to take it and start in rural water and NOLA and see what kind of grants and fundings out there. Talk to your people, talk to your people.
I also want to make a point. Rural water, DOLA, if they will be covering and funding and everything, it's only for the current 48 residential taps. So keep that in mind with the engineering study.
We'll study it for 80, so we build the infrastructure so that as more come on, those other people might be. You guys will be setting the rates, Dan. See, that's another control. If we build the internal piping, the service, the tank to service all 80 lots, then you guys as a district says anybody that taps on has to pay. You set a tap fee to the new people and say, okay, we paid $47 for it. Do we give it away the same price, or do we mark up the tap fees? Then you internally will set a tap for those.
So the question I have is, how do we get this, say this up, we do this. How do we get your water flowing through those pipes that have never been approved? We're inspected by the state.
Not a big deal.
They're telling us it's a big deal, Ken.
No, because we do that 5 times a week that we put a new pipe in there that's not inspected by the
Oh,
state.
you're gonna put it in.
We will, the new pipes, we will have to put it in there, we'll have to sanitize it, we'll bake it, and we'll pull a sample on the thing, and once we get chloroform free, then we can turn it into the system.
Okay, so
And probably would recommend doing that if we're using your old pipes as well,
Yeah.
that we go ahead and sanitize and bake it once and pull a clean sample on it before we introduce the water.
all right, Kent, I guess I was confused. So the current pipes that are in the ground are going to be used for watering your lawn.
If that's the direction that your board wants.
Yours, you just, if I
Ours,
understand you right.
we'll bid it as a contractor. When a contractor bids the pipe, part of that process, we pressure test it. Once he puts it in the ground, we pressure test it. Then he's gotta bake it and sanitize it, and then we pull the sample, send it off to CDPHE, and then they release it for pool use.
So I'm clear, because I'm confused. Leave those alone.
Okay.
Put brand new.
Brand new or replacement, we have to do it every time. We bake it.
Leave one for ag, one for
We
one.
hyperchlorinate the line, and we call it bacon. We just hyperchlorinate the line, put way too much chlorine in there, and then we'll bake it a minimum of 24 hours. Just let it sit there for 24 hours. Then we'll flush it until our residual gets to our 0.7, so we know we're running our fresh water in there. And then we'll pull the sample. And then we'll shut it off, and then we send it off to Colorado Labs in Loveland, and then it comes back, and most of it's 24 hours, but it can be 2 days once in a while, and they'll say absent or present of chlorophyll. If it's present, guess what? We start the process again. We superchlorinate it, we bake it again, we flush it again, we pull it out, and
Run
we
more
keep
water.
doing it until we get a clean line. And we have to do that when there's a line break.
So I can go, when I go
That
back,
water will not be turned on until it's a clean bill.
so when I go back and get my mail tonight, because this happens every time I go to the mailboxes, I get flooded by people. We told them we were having a meeting today. I got 40 homes crawling up my, you know what?
Really, President?
Yes.
What'd you do that to yourself?
If I'd have known. Can't if I'd have known. You have no idea.
You need, I'll give you a card. Believe me, you've got 40. I got 3,200 taps. Ours has been operating a little cleaner than yours are. I'm aware of your problems because I've talked to 4 or 5 different board members, 2 or 3 different owners, talked to Dola. At one time, Don Jones come in here and wanted me to buy the water at that system. I mean, I've been part of your life sitting out here just waiting for this to happen. And I would not be surprised if something very similar doesn't happen with the entire town of Wiggins at some point in time.
Yeah, I've been watching their board meetings.
We've seen it, we've been through it before. If nothing, if you just need a pissing post, I'll give you my number.
I just want to give them an answer that their big thing right now.
No, that water will not be
Because
turned
we
in.
have a bunch of Denverites coming in. Computer educated knuckleheads. Okay? They're pissed off because their ISO rating is so high and their insurance company's like, yeah, you have it right there. You should be a 7, but you're a 9 because there's no water. They were under the impression there was water when the property was sold. I'm tired of hearing this. I'm tired of dealing with it from here because they come to
Is it Wiggins?
Wiggins. They come to
Where's
our.
your station down there?
I got your water
But how far south is that one? I'm trying to think your
across the
Yeah,
road.
right across the
You're about 300
F-52.
yards south of F.
Okay.
I got 25,000 gallons of your water under my ground, under the station. We have that big cistern you guys built for us.
Yeah.
That somebody left the pump on 2 years ago, and
Yeah, they did. Valves right in there.
Whoops.
you wait till you see that water bill. Anyway,
I think we refunded you that. We didn't charge you that.
she told us you did.
Well, we sent you a bill to make.
Hey, I'm just
Got that
whatever Val says.
Attention.
Whatever Val says we did.
I did a leak adjustment on that because
But
of
you
the fire.
please understand my point.
Yeah.
Now I got insurance companies calling. Hey, wait a minute. What's going? Oh, you're a firefighter also? Then the insurance company calls the fire chief, and then I got him up my you know what, and I'm like, wait a minute. If we're not going to have fire suppression, those hydrants need to go bye-bye. So there's no false impression. Because the insurance companies, I'm here to tell you, are pissed off.
And they are luring
And
people
I'm
out here
gonna
with
do
false
this
sense of
from now
security.
on. Call them. I didn't put those hydrants in there. I didn't.
It was, yeah,
But if you
again,
boost that pressure sufficient for your fire needs,
They had,
you're gonna blow sprinkler systems up all over the area. So you're gonna have to put PRVs in those meters.
and the insurance company said,
we'll take care of that.
will your pipeline hold such? And I go, absolutely not. I will crush this pipe in 5 seconds. Like we did in Wiggins. We told Wiggins, is this line gonna hold? Because you have a big fire here and we need water. Oh yeah. Suck these
It doesn't take.
about half a mile of line, shut it down. But, well, fix it. What is the number one issue about being rural? Water. No water, no fire suppression. No fire suppression, these guys are paying a buku buttload of insurance costs because
If
they're
we can
ISO
even get
rated.
it.
I need to get back out to you guys again. I haven't been out to Wiggins for a little bit and show you where our water access points are again on the maps. So you guys have one.
I know where yours are. But
We're really good.
we have the whole west map. We've got your west map. So if somebody hits a line, it's like, no, that's not Morgan's.
No, that water will not be turned on in those houses. CDPHE won't allow it under your PW, your public water system ID number. You know, you'll have to sample that before you can turn them into the houses. So they're gonna be, well, if you do the dual system, we just won't turn on the other water.
If we do the dual system, we can make CDPHE go by.
Yeah, that's the big thing. The
You turn this well down.
current
agriculture,
infrastructure needs to be approved,
We don't need
or it will be shut down.
You'll still have PWS ID, and you'll still have someone sampling. You'll still be doing regular monitoring.
For a non-potable system.
Not the non-potable.
That's what I mean. They'll go bye-bye.
Yep, they go
Okay.
back
Yeah.
on that one.
That's our,
So help me understand. You're saying, CDPHE, no big deal. CDP county, no big deal. I'm here to tell you, CDPHE and the county have been up my ass for the last time. What you're telling me is not what's really happening to us.
Once we get the system redone. I'm sorry, right now you guys got
Because
issues.
the next board meeting is not going to be nice.
When is it?
The next county board, we're going.
yeah, we're
Oh,
Stop
commissioners.
calling me, stop bugging me, stop sending me certified letters.
All of our citizens asking why the hell everything isn't the way that it was supposed to
I'm not
be.
mentioning any names right now. Because him and I are going to have our day. Get off my ass.
Does he have a friend or somebody out there? Oh, we'll talk right now. I'm not gonna do this in a public meeting.
Right, just, commissioners
One last
are doing their
question.
thing, listening to the citizens.
One last
Trying to
question.
help out.
Because I got asked this at the mailboxes this morning. Why is this meeting up to our people?
That was your discretion. I don't have any.
It was not my discretion.
As a board.
We were invited. The meeting wasn't our schedule.
This is exploratory in nature.
Thank you. That's all I needed. That's all I needed.
We haven't even,
We talked about it.
in the
Making
process.
decisions, we just talked about it.
Because we're finding out what we can or can't do. you know?
We brought,
See, I got an answer.
we brought
Thank you.
all the interested parties together to discuss options.
But, and I get it, you've done this a long time, you got 50 times the people. I'm not gonna have a county commissioner at my ass anymore. I'm not gonna have CDPH at my ass anymore. I didn't do this. I'm not gonna have 40 households. Hey, now I can't even use the water I'm paying for. I have to go get bottled water starting Tuesday. I don't wanna hear it anymore. I didn't do this, whoever did it, fix it. And I'm not trying to be an ass about this, but we all know what happened to Log Lane in November with the police department. Okay?
This year, November?
Last year. When the officer that got hired had 5 felonies, remember this? I can tell you who was behind that. Because I am also a law enforcement officer for the state. And I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not. I'm not going to play anymore. I will get the same reporter to go down there. I told CDPHE, I told Nathan, I'm telling you guys. No more. I didn't do this. I'm here like you are to make this better. I need answers. We've been waiting 2 years. Let's make it for an answer. When John called me 2 months ago, couple months ago.
Yes.
That was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Like, oh my God.
This is the most progress. I've been here 9 years, guys. This is the most.
When
progress
John
I've
called me
seen.
for that half hour that day, I'm like, I looked at Kelly.
Oh, yeah.
I looked at Kelly, I'm like, look who this is. And I'm like, oh my God, that was one of the best conversations I ever had with John. This was awesome. So let's get it fixed. If we're not gonna have fire suppression, get those, they gotta go. I'm telling you, insurance companies are gonna start.
That decision will be born on the landowners that have a vote in that. Do we want to boost this old system and make fire suppression, or do we want to just go with the new system entirely? Those decisions will be.
So my question to you, do you have the water capacity so that I don't have to suction, but I can fill a drop tank?
I will ask.
That's the question. Because if you don't have the quantity to suction, then
I will have the engineer design it such that that's capability
to fill a dump tank, yes.
to do a dump tank. But then if you guys choose not to, if he says, okay, we have to do 8-inch infrastructure to make that ability, and then I look at you guys as a community, I'm pointing at you because you're the community members here, you guys as a community and say, do you really want to spend the extra 8-inch? Is your insurance important? You guys tell me. All I'm designing where it has that capability to do the drop tanks out there, service with the hydrants. And then if you guys decide we're spending too much, it's just like any other home improvement project. Your wife's got all this vision, and I'm not picking on the wives, but I'm pretty close to 2 of them. And then by the time the reality strikes, it's like, we're not doing granite, we might be doing countertops.
And that's what I've been telling them. Hey, you're paying this much more in insurance costs per year. Do you want to pay this much more so that I can come over here and put your fire out? What's more important? Pick your battle. It's just, and trying to talk to these people, I'm picking it. All they want to do is fight with me. I'm like, get away. I was in my uniform the other day, and this lady got in my
do this instead of doing the fire hydrants. We do a drop spout right at your pump, like they have down at the park, and just fill the trucks at a common spot and get rid of all the fire hydrants. Because I was a firefighter in Kersey.
So the drop spout you're talking about over here,
By parks, city parks.
we can pull up a tender and go.
Mhm. But maybe that's something you design and get rid of those fire hydrants. Just have a drop at your pumps into your tanks, so you have one location.
And this is what I've been trying to tell them. I'm like, folks, I get it. We're 10 miles from the big fire station. You have 3 fire, the west side, where Jesse lives. Across the street is Travis, and Tony is Tony, and then me. We're the 3 firefighters over there. That station's 2 minutes from our house. I have a 750.
And you keep the tanker full.
I have a 750 engine, 500 brush truck, 3,500 tender. So that's 12,000 gallons I got right now. And I got 20, what is it, 20 or 25 tanks that we have there?
25.
25,000 gallons right underneath the fire
And
station.
it's filling, it's full.
I know, and if you leave the valve on, you get a $2,500 water bill.
That's
And
all.
this,
I
that's because we caught it. We're like,
you
left
my
this poop
sympathy
on.
because I was a firefighter and I was like, I am not going to charge a guy an idiot tax.
it was a rookie. We filled the truck, he just left it on. Anyway,
Where's it go? Is there an overflow?
I don't know. You design, I don't know.
Nathan, anything else we have questions on today?
No, we lose it.
The family has decided to pay, I understand, for the engineering study to get the ball rolling.
We initiated, we're paying for it. We initiated.
So we can.
We initiated it.
John, I'm gonna give you a hug.
So I just
So you know.
wanted to make that point.
Yep, you know.
And so when you go back to the 37 people,
You bet.
because 3 people are going to be.
We initiated it, we paid
No,
for
they're all
it.
37 tonight.
So let them know that the family,
Yeah.
like I say,
We did.
The family's doing it, the family's writing the check,
When you and I talked, John,
so.
no pun intended, that put a lot of fires out. It did. It really did. So I'm telling you, thank you.
and now they're showing,
You bet, Sam.
they're showing it their check.
You bet.
Goodwill.
Yeah,
And
we're
now it's
trying.
like, hey, I was there. I watched him do this.
Yeah.
And maybe it's me sick and tired of it every day, right?
You will own the tap request, but with your leisure, we can share with the.
Oh,
district.
absolutely.
Oh, no, you're kidding. No, we all heard that too.
Sure.
So
We want them to have
and be patient, because I'm gonna send it through 3 or 4 iterations, because I'm gonna see it back and say, you know what? As I look at it, I'll say, I'll come up, because we've done it forever.
Yeah.
So I say, here's another idea.
Would it be feasible to put a tank?
At your place? We're just putting one at Goder's. And yeah, it's 90,000 gallons, and I can't remember what the cost is. We're doing it at the dairies. We're doing it. You should know now. We're doing a commercial water system, and Goder's is going to be our first one, Sandy Hills. And what we're requiring them to have on site is 36 hours of water on site. Because pumps can and do fail, and I don't want to be responsible for 3,000 gallons. And so when they switched to our system, because our system is redundant, we've got wells, I pointed out earlier, that I can feed from another direction. If we have a line break, we get out there and get it fixed. But if we're servicing with one well, one site, then we want some water supply. So we're requiring a day and a half. You see what Logling has, you see what Morgan Heights has. When you switch to that, you can only tank on site.
What does Hillrose do?
They've got an underground tank.
Do they? All right.
But they've got the dual system too,
Yeah.
where there's some comfort in that. You're gonna go on about the boiled water restrictions. You guys are heading that direction.
Who's it?
I've been through 4 or 5 of them, guys. When we have a line break, and then we have to repair it. We had 5 guys out that were under oil restrictions while we're getting repairs. It was when the Bijou run last summer was the second one that went. We couldn't repair the line. The Bijou was running down there on Road 6.
Yeah.
And we had 5 guys out, and there was no chance that we were gonna get in the river and fix that line. So we waited about a week. Well, the water went down in the Bijou. You couldn't see it anymore, but 6 inches below it was still flowing. We still couldn't get to the pipe, so we run a temporary across the deck. CDPHE, it's a new line. It's the question you and I just had. So I had a brand new line. I turned their water on, but they couldn't use it until we got it all baked and everything. So then we had to bake their whole line, but they were so glad to have water. I said, you're under a boil order. Don't drink this. You're 2 years old is how I describe it to them. Don't stick it in your mouth. You're a 2-year-old. Keep it out of your mouth is the best way to describe it to them. So, and then finally, when things settled down, then we went ahead and baked that temporary line and flushed it after we gave them about a week or so that they could take showers and get caught up and do everything. And said, we're going to shut you off for 2 days to bake that section of line to get it certified. But we didn't shut them off right away because I had 6 people in my mailbox. There were 6 people tied on the other side of the line. How are you coming? How are you coming? And then you get the same calls. And the temporary was on top of the bridge. And it's going to freeze tonight. So we have to leave some water. And we finally got it repaired under the beach.
Oh, I got him up my, you know what, when your line broke. The guy across from the station. I have no water pressure. You're the water board. No, this is quality water.
That pump station, when it goes down, everybody's out. But we've got markers. There's 4 or 5 people that live in, they're older couples that are home 24/7. And when Mrs. So-and-so, I won't say the name, calls, then we suspect what goes on. And we appreciate it. Don't get me wrong, because it's going to come downhill. If those guys on the end are the first ones that get to notice it, so you got your markers, it's like, my pressure isn't right. The equipment has improved a lot to where we can look on our phones and see what the system pressures are now.
Yeah.
It's like $17,000 just to install equipment to monitor that pump on your phone, but it's worth it. You can the guys can restart it from their phone, try it twice. If it doesn't restart, then they get the button to pick up and drive out there and see what's going on. But that Wiggins pump station is critical to keep that whole area going. We've got to boost it there. And it doesn't seem uphill that much until you have a flood, and then you realize how fast that water's running back to the south.
Yeah.
You don't think you're changing elevation. You think you're going south, you're going downhill, but it's not. We're pumping uphill now.
Now, is there anything the subdivision can do today to get a head start with DOLA and any grants or anything?
My experience is no. They want to see shovel-ready projects, is what they say.
Yep.
When you go in there for a pipe dream, they'll throw some money at you for a grant or for study or for engineering and that kind of stuff. And that's where we were starting down the path with, tell me his name again.
Jesse?
Jesse. We started down that path to do the grants because they'll give you an exploratory grant for $10,000 to study what's going on. But
Yeah, there you go.
we're gonna have a pretty good idea.
There you go. You gotta do this.
And you start with that,
You gotta do
and then we can really start exploring. Once we get the engineers, I don't know who does your engineer stuff out there, if you have an engineer.
We may have access to one, but
We'll probably rely mostly on my guy for price. I'm gonna sell $4 million worth of water, whatever the number ends up being eventually. I can afford to pay an engineer a little bit of money to help with it. You're gonna have to work on your side for the CDPHE approval, and that would be your OCR that does that for you. We'll give the designs and stuff, and then you'll have to present it to CDPHE. When we change a well house out, we have to draw the whole thing out, hand it to CDPHE, and put the rubber stamp on it after 4 months of sitting on some gas. But they do it, so we've stayed repetitive with our design. But once that design gets out, we'll help you with the design and then send it off. They'll modify it. They have to modify something, or they haven't done their job.
yeah. Yep.
I'm glad we're not in the public meeting. Because I like to tend to say what I'm thinking.
Right.
Hey Kent, this is Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan.
Yeah, problem.
Hey, I just a couple, I want to confirm one thing and then I've got two questions. So my first, I wanted to confirm that you will only consider a master meter and not sales to individual lots. Is that my understanding, or is that something that should be considered?
I'll answer that two ways. As a district, yes, I consider sales to individual lots. If someone wanted to plunk $59,000 for a lot, I would consider it. But you are not within my water district. You are in Prairie View Ranch Water District.
We can change that.
And as a district, I can't serve in another district without their permission. So their governing board controls that water district. So that's statutorial, is that way. So yes, we would consider it. If you do get our water service, then we have to include you in our water district because that is a requirement, and that is an additional $1,250 to include each property. What we've done, and I'm going to clarify that, and then I'll get back to your other two questions. Logging is not in our district, so we charge a small ad valorem in lieu of taxes because they manage their own district, and yours will look very similar. Instead of going $1,250 a lot to include us in their district, because that's our statutory requirement, we'll put it, and I can think log is $2.20 a month or something like that, ad valorem in lieu of being part of our district. So you would if it's just an individual lot, you'd have to include in our district and pay the full $59,000 for the tap, and still pay his other $400 engineering as well, because one lot might be different. I might be able to feed one lot off of that 2.5-inch line. I don't know. That's why it's going to be required. So did that answer that question?
I think so. Where I was going with it is, I don't want to rehash this entire conversation we've had for an hour, but the whole point of my question is, you could go two different ways. You could serve each of the 80 lots directly from quality water, which would remove the PWSID altogether, right?
That's an option.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it was an option because I didn't want to go down the path of just the master meter, knowing that there's infrastructure within the current district that is coming to the end of its life anyway. So it would be
That requirement, then they would all be $59,000 taps.
okay. So the master meter would be essentially
The master meter is going to let you bypass that because you'll have the other infrastructure. So yes, we could do that. It'd all be $59,000 taps. All of them would have to sign the inclusions, $1,250 inclusions. I didn't really offer that as an option because financially it doesn't seem as feasible as some of the other, but that certainly is an option. If that's where they vote to, everybody buy their own tap for quality water, then we do one by one. But I don't think we're going to find out what the infrastructure looks like. The first 2 or 3 guys are going to be pretty happy. And then once you break that breaking point where we can't service any more houses out there, when we get to, I don't know if it's 5, 8, 9, 10, wherever, then we have to start looking at tanks and stuff. It's better approached as community by far.
Okay. Will both of those options be looked at within your engineering study?
No, I'm studying if we're available to service 80 lots. It wouldn't matter if it's 1 or 80, we'll know. I do not have it break it down. Okay, I will. How many can we service with no improvements? And I think I know the answer to that. There's like 8 or 9 out there. Because we were getting that tight.
Just right down to it.
Yeah, when we added that, when we did that expansion, when the hemp guy come in, it boosted another 25 houses, and they'd have to look back to when that was and see how many we sold. We put a commercial moratorium out there. We're not gonna put any more commercial taps. We're tired of the hemp guys. We wanted to save it for the residential guys, so we put a commercial moratorium out there so we didn't have one person come in and buy all the rest of them. When I have Richies that want to build a house for their son, and this guy for their son, and this guy for their son, and I sold it all to one
Denver,
hemp farmer. I'll just say it that way. I'll give you an answer how many taps can be sold without improvements.
Okay. And my second question is there's been some roadblocks with USDA and SRF funding simply because of some situations that are out of people's control at the moment. So my question would be: is the seeking funding from grants and the SRF program, is that something that Quality Water can either take on or assist with, or is that something that the district has to, the Prairie Ranch district has to attempt to do?
I'm horrible grant writer, and I just proposed to my board that we hire a grant writer for ourselves. So the answer is we don't have the expertise here to do that. Rural Water is very good at assisting that. I'll give you some ideas for some grant waters. Colorado Water Conservation Board is very good about passing money out for that. There's some other, and I will assist you in direction. But I'm a math guy. I have to put a plaque on my desk so I can spell my name. I'm not a good grant writer, and we don't have a staff person that's good at that. You gotta be able to put that fluff in there and pull on their sympathy chords, and I'm just not good at that. I'm an engineer math guy, so I speak my mind, and that doesn't work in those grant proposals. I'll give you direction, but no. I don't even want to write my own.
And the last thing would be on the fire protection. Would you say that the majority of the customers that you're connected to do not have hydrants available? Is that did I understand that?
By far and wide. Yeah, there's probably 8 or 10 access points in all of the Wiggins area that you guys are aware of. I got firemen sitting here. How many water access blow-offs do we have out there? You might have more than that. We've never really structured them and said we need one every 2 miles. It's just where it was convenient at the time. It's not structured in nature, but no, the majority of them do not.
And none of them have a full official fire hydrant.
No, we don't have a single fire hydrant in the system. We've been changing the appearance of those because they put fire hydrant looking things in there and they were painted red. So now we're putting blow-offs in that are just an elbow up top.
Yeah.
And so they don't look like a fire hydrant, so they don't get the misimpression that they're a fire hydrant. So they're run with a regular curved valve, but they just gotta look like a little candy cane. You'll see them, they're blue out there, you'll see them out there. And so that they can hook their force hose and drop them in there. So they don't.
And that keeps the ISO ratings at a reasonable level. It just seems strange.
It helps a bunch when you have water close.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and I pull really hard on having that fire station that close.
And thank you for that.
Okay. Yeah, I can't speak, because I'm not a fire marshal, I can't speak exactly on what would be recommended.
Unfortunately, my wife's an insurance agent, so I hear this a lot.
Yeah.
She does.
Yeah. So let me just ask this question. It's reasonable that a similar similar district in a similar situation would not carry fire flows through their 6-inch C900 lines.
You cannot.
Interesting.
You cannot.
Okay.
So anybody that's got, like when you go in City, Fort Morgan, Wiggins, Brush, those fire hydrants are all connected to steel lines. So you would have to put your infrastructure all steel in order to withstand that suction pressure. So even some of the lines within the city of Fort Morgan, they've got to be a steel line or else 5 or 10. So in the western part of the county that's in the Wiggins Fire District, there's 10 water access points. And you're looking at what, 30 miles by 20, 15 miles. Our district is 20 by 15. So not very frequently.
Okay.
When you get into subdivisions, they're more common. Like Morgan Heights, Log Lane. Log Lane has actually got fire suppression. They got steel out there in some of theirs. But Morgan Heights does not have any.
Okay, yeah. Normally we would design for something inside of a development like that, but there's situations different, so I'm not arguing it, it's just I find it a little bit surprising.
When you're outside of city rule, it's not required. Once the municipal codes would require fire codes, but that's why a lot of these developments are popping up outside. The infrastructure is a lot cheaper. You don't have to deal with the sewer infrastructure. You don't have to deal with the fire infrastructure. So your per lot cost drops in a hurry outside of city rule.
Understood, thanks for
And thus we sell more taps.
Okay.
I've got a stupid question. There's a third well out there on the project, and it's designated agriculture use. And if I recall, I got the permit on. I think it, for some reason in my head, I think it was about 400 acre feet. That's what it was
When
adjudicated.
you go to outdoor use only, I think you can
think
get
I-
by with agricultural use. I would check with the water engineer.
But the reason I
is
bring that up-
lawn and grass.
Yeah, Chris Grimes at DWR can explain
Went
that.
ahead and used that well for fire suppression. Couldn't you fill a tanker truck up with that and help the whole area? Is that?
If we had a tank outside that already.
Yeah,
had
something
water,
like that, but
Let's
you,
try to pump
Can
it out
you
of the
tie
water.
it back to your
but
own
would
system?
that help?
No.
Will it tie back easily
What do you mean?
into your underground tanks?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know
Because
what
I leave it
you have
agriculture
there,
because
but-
I would not go to the state
Yeah.
and say that it's fire suppression use. Fire suppression use
Okay,
is assumed.
Yeah,
to
they
be
already,
okay. It kind of falls in a little gray area, i.e. the state's not gonna scream at anybody for using their agricultural use to suppress a fire. It's just
Yeah.
common sense.
Yep.
You go in and tell them you're doing it and it starts looking like a municipal use, they're gonna say something. So fire suppression is kind of just overlooked by the state.
Can't I like your idea of the drop tube? Even if we have to get rid of the hydrants to fill the tender, we can fill the tender way faster on that drop tube. With the
The
tank.
Parks Department has those. For
So,
Morgan, anytime they're out north, they can fill so much faster than the drop tank.
We used it to help Portland.
Yeah, they just grab it theirs because it's so much quicker. By the time you get the tank
Pull
out,
that
turn
lever,
it back on the
fill it
tank.
up, leave.
So that'd be a great option for you out there. And Nathan, those were good questions. I appreciate it. Nathan, since you're not here, I'll let you know my mobile number and I'll give these guys cards. I'm really good in the morning talking, but after about 9 o'clock at night, you really don't want to talk to me. I'm a morning person. So you may not get a response after 9 until about 5:30 or 6 the next morning.
Okay.
And we'll get this engineering study. I suspect it'll be after the first of the year. After
Oh,
we see all the
yeah, that's
research
great.
we
You know,
do.
you got the holidays going on.
When it's a single house, it's pretty simple. He just looks at the pressures in there and says, can I add one? When we start looking at 80 and that area down there, we're going to go through few, and we'll offer 2 or 3 suggestions. I'll go through 2 or 3 iterations with him.
Right.
Okay, let's pretend we put a tank up there then. Then we got some cost sharing. If I put a tank up at him, our system's gonna benefit. So maybe we'll share some of the costs. We'll have to look at that because everybody's helping. If we put a tank just on your location, the rest of the guys in the system aren't gonna benefit, so we're just not gonna be as willing to contribute anything for those guys. So that's the kind of things that I'll have to study and look at and go through different repetitions of his study.
Now, where you're talking that quality water, you can't operate within the Prairie View Water District or any other water district. Is it possible to somehow do away with the Prairie View Water District so that doesn't?
We still have to include you in ours.
Oh, so you would have to.
Still,
So it doesn't accomplish.
so we're better off with the ad valorem
All right.
like we did Log Lane because we run into that with Log Lane and we just do an ad valorem truck. The guys down at Hoyt, they're not in our district because we didn't have our water district doesn't reach into Adams
Adams
County.
County, right.
So they pay another 2. It's just in lieu of our taxes. Our mill levy is 0.0824. You're gonna pay $7 to $10 a year on the taxes.
Yeah.
So the ad valorem's a lot cheaper than including you for $1,250. So we've decided, and we have precedence with Log Lane. So we can say we've already done it for one. They're not gonna make an exception for you guys. So just put the rule ad valorem on it. But if a single guy. And I'm not gonna make an exception for a single guy because we sold 50 taps this year. There's people that had included, and well, how come you're letting him include for nothing? We're just
For nothing.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like that.
No, so it'd be
In some form or another, it'll be all or nothing.
yeah. So appearances will always happen. We do have history of this. This is the first time. I sent you to Log Lane, but they've turned it over so many times. I don't know who out at Log Lane that was even there.
Yeah.
They switched over to our water to tell you what issues you might be facing.
I ran into the same. I've been trying to get a hold of Dave Riebel. I'm not sure if he's around anymore, but
Yes, it is.
oh, really? Interesting. Yeah, all of his phone numbers have been disconnected, or if you've got a good one for him, I'll take it. And I know John Guthrie.
Dave is still operating their wastewater plant up there.
Yeah, and they own that little patch of parkland too.
And the park,
Yeah.
we own the water.
What's that?
We own the water. In that.
Right. Yeah, I was just talking about that patch
When
of
we took over that,
open space.
That was part of we assumed all our water rights. When we took over because we took it over infrastructure.
Owned everything, yeah.
That was the second go around. They had a problem in '79, and then I ran it.
It's 970. There's another gentleman up there. A lot of the infrastructure. Kind of their operations guy. And but he went, well, he's the one that pointed out where the wells. We couldn't find all the wells up there. When we listed those wells in our creek in case they decided to go. We thought at some point those Winter Heights people might want to park in that big vacant lot, and we own the wells, but we don't have the wells augmented, so they can't pump them. And so I included those in my new decree, so if they pop up and decide to build a park up there, I know the guy that can sell them some water. There as well, and he's more of an engineering type. Well, they're both engineers.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Operations type guy.
All right.
No, don't be afraid to call and ask. We'll take care of this paperwork at the front counter.
Yeah, we'll get this.
Is it Walt and Carla? Okay, cool.
If you know, yeah. Do you? Yeah, they're out there in that neck of the woods. Any more questions?
No, before everybody leaves, I want to thank you, Ken, for taking the time this afternoon before the holidays. We appreciate that.
Yeah,
And
much
I appreciate
appreciated.
these two guys showing up. These two guys.
And Nathan.
Yeah.
Long trip down from Buffalo, so I appreciate that too.
Got some story to tell, didn't it?
Yeah.
Can't need some
cards for
firefighting.
you guys. Girls.
That's fine.
Are you guys staying in town for a while? You turn around and drive
We're
back?
staying tonight and drive back in the morning, yeah.
And your home is story? What's your address?
My address? Buffalo, Wyoming.
Oh, it's a Buffalo address. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Way up there.
Way up. We got Denver to Montana, Sam.
That's where I had to go to get my pickup a couple years ago.
Oh, really?
Couldn't get one in Colorado.
Yeah, I had to go to Austin for a vehicle once.
We'll get all this.
This is my experience, and I'll tell you two guys this. I've been through 2 or 3 board members that I've had these conversations not as in depth, and I have not had these guys on board. So let's keep this ball running.
Yep, agree.
100%.